Hi, my name is Kim Brown, and I am excited that you will be joining me in the Holy Land. We are drawing closer, and so now it's time to start thinking about the packing, right? So the whole time of preparing for this pilgrimage, we should be spiritually getting ready for our pilgrimage, but now we're going to start getting the reality of the physical preparation. What do I need to pack? What should I bring? So as we prepare for this pilgrimage, a couple things we want to remember. One is we are going as a pilgrim, not a tourist. And there's a very big difference between being a pilgrim and being a tourist, right? And so as a pilgrim, we are making this journey to this holy site, and we're making it with a community of other pilgrims, right? And so it's not about just my experience, but it's about the collective group. And I recognize that God is going to be constantly teaching me through the other people that are placed on this pilgrimage with me. Not just teaching me through the priest that I'm with or with the spiritual director that's leading it, but literally teaching me through the fellow pilgrims I'm on this journey with. And it's a good reminder of these earthly pilgrimages of our ultimate pilgrimage towards heaven. Because we are not made for this world, right? We are on pilgrimage to our heavenly destination with God. And so earthly pilgrimage reminds us of these things. So as you begin packing, remember this is a pilgrimage. You don't need to bring everything, right? You want to keep it basic and simple. And there's a couple of reasons you want to keep it basic and simple. This is not a fashion trip. You are going on a pilgrimage. And so we do want to be dressed respectful at the holy sites, but we also want to recognize that we are a pilgrim. I don't have to have a pair of pants for every single day. Maybe I'm going to offer that up by only bringing 2 or 3 pairs of pants for my entire pilgrimage. Maybe I plan on wearing a shirt 2 days before I cycle it out to another shirt. So I'm making these small sacrifices. When I hiked the Camino, one of the things I noticed is you had all your possessions on your backpack. So even though we're going to be flying in an airplane and then having a bus to drive us, and most all of us will have luggage with wheels on it, we still can make those small modifications where we simplify our lives, because that is something that a pilgrimage allows us to do. We identify what is really important. Now at the same time, we want to make sure we set ourselves up for a good pilgrimage and a pilgrimage where we're safe and comfortable, right? So as we begin packing, some of the things that I'm going to recommend you have. First and foremost, you have to have your passport, and going to the Holy Land, it needs to be valid for 6 months upon our return. So if that is something you have not done yet, you need to make sure that you get your passport and make sure that it's 6 months valid from the date of our return. The second thing is, how are you going to keep that passport safe while you're with you? Now you can get something that goes around your neck, or you can get one of these that goes around your waist. Inside of it, you can put your passport, you can put your money, your credit card, and your driver's license. And that is a way of keeping your personal belongings safe. Now on the pilgrimage, you're going to have credit cards and debit cards most likely, and you want to make sure you notify your companies that you'll be traveling out of country. Tell them the country you're going to, Israel, and tell them the dates that you will be there, so that they remove a hold. Because so often if they notify, if they see weird activities such as you in a foreign country, they will place a hold on it and call your cell phone. Well, if your cell phone's turned off, you're not going to get that notice, and next thing you know, you're trying to buy a olive wood nativity set and your credit card is denied. So we want to make sure our credit cards and our debit cards are ready to go. One of the precautions we want to do is make copies of the things that are in our wallet, our driver's license, our health insurance card, our credit card, our debit cards. We also want to make a copy of our passport, photo page, and we also want to make a copy of our flight itinerary and the hotels that we'll be staying at. We'll make 2 copies of all that. One copy will be in our luggage, so just in case our passport and our credit cards get stolen, we'll have that backup information as we have to meet with the embassy and contact our credit card companies. But we'll also leave one back home with somebody we trust. And that way, once again, this is just a safety precaution if needed, if we end up losing our stuff on the trip. But that shouldn't happen. Traveling in the Holy Land is truly a safe experience. You're less likely to come across somebody pickpocketing you in the Holy Land than in Italy, because Italy, I've experienced a lot of people trying to pickpocket. In the Holy Land, I've never experienced. The other thing you're going to do is you're going to bring a lot of these $1 bills. The American US dollar is accepted in the Holy Land at pretty much every place that we go as pilgrims. Their economy really depends and thrives on the US tourism, and specifically those people that are pilgrims. And so what you want to do is you want to get your bills and get them in $1 denominations. I would recommend having at least 200 of these. What you'll use the $1 for is you will have this to buy water on the bus. You'll also have this for small trinkets. Sometimes somebody might approach the bus and they'll have silk scarves, or they'll have flutes made, like David flutes, and that might be a gift you might want to bring back home. You don't want to then go into your belt and show everybody where your money is, and so instead you can have about 20 ones in your pocket, and then you're just able to pull out that ones. You're able to buy what you want quickly and efficiently. Now, if you're in a store, you're able to pull out your credit card or pull out larger bills. Some of the Christian stores that we visit, they really truly depend on pilgrims to be able to stay in the Holy Land. In the 1950s, the population of Christians in the Holy Land was about 25%. Today, it's less than 2%. So what we try to do on our pilgrimage is two things. We try to financially support those Christians that are there working. And so those that the stores that we specifically go to on our pilgrimage are owned by Christians. And they also get their the olive wood carvings and those types of things they actually get from other Christians. That's how they make their livelihood. Some of those stores are so small, though, they don't have credit or debit cards. So if you know you're wanting to buy something, bring the cash for that. So you probably have seen at the parish when people come from the Holy Land and they have the olive wood, and you look at a nativity set and you say it's $300, or a cross can be anywhere from $20 up to $100, depending on the size of the cross or crucifix you're wanting. So bring some of those, and you can bring those in like $20 denominations. Don't try to bring too many $100 bills, because that can get harder to break down, but the $20 denominations are able to be broken down. And that's one way you can support those in the Christians in the Holy Land. The other thing that we will do is, at the holy sites where we're at, we want to leave a financial donation. And so on our pilgrimage group that you're coming on, your fees and tips for the tour guide, your fees and tips for the priest, your fees and tip for our bus driver, your fees and tips for the bellboys, the maid staff, the dining room staff, all of that has already been included. We have not had donations for the churches, and we leave that for each individual to decide. Some individuals might be able to say, well, I'll do $5 per church. Somebody else might say, I can do $20 per church or more. These churches truly depend on the support of American pilgrims to keep them up and running. The local Christian population at less than 2%, they're trying very hard to just survive and keep their own parish open, but they're not able to do the holy sites, and so that's where we need to come in and help. So on our pilgrimage, we will have Mass every single day, and so we'll be at Mass at 9 different churches. So during that time, an offering basket does get passed around. You're able to put money in it. In addition, though, we're going to go to a number of churches where Mass is not celebrated for us, right? We can't celebrate Mass at every one of the churches. We will, in fact, be at 27 different churches during our pilgrimage in the Holy Land. And so what we have is we have an envelope for every single one of those churches. And so a pilgrim could themselves leave a donation, or they could specifically say, Kim, here's $200, don't, divide it by each church, or Kim, here's $500, or however much you personally discern ahead of time. And then I'm able to break that up and put it into those envelopes for those churches. So that way, when we're there, you're not trying to figure out, oh no, I spent my last, small money. I don't have any more cash to give for the churches. But this way, ahead of time, you can just make a planned donation. And this is part of being a pilgrim, is supporting those other Christian churches. Yes, we're going so that we're able to receive, but we also need to go and help those churches out there in the Holy Land. So that's going to be something that you're able to do, and you're able to give me that money. I put it in the envelopes and then give it to the church as we're there. And that also frees you up from worrying about where is the donation box, and you're just able to experience those churches while we are there. So that's going to be some of the money situation and the passport information that you need to plan for your pilgrimage for this time when we go. In addition to that, we're going to talk about packing. Now, as you're planning your pilgrimage to the Holy Land, the smartest thing to do is 10 days before, look at a weather forecast. We, during the Lenten season, will be there in March, and so, the weather can be anywhere from the 40s up to about the 70s, and so the Jerusalem area is cooler than the Sea of Galilee region, but not by too much. So what we encourage people to do is to dress in layers. So bring a jacket, like maybe a fleece, that would be able to keep you warm if you get cool. I would recommend wearing like a long sleeve shirt, and then maybe even a t-shirt underneath that. For some reason, if you got hot, you'd be able to take off the fleece, and then you would still have the long sleeve shirt on. Every single day and multiple times throughout the day, we're going to different holy sites and sacred churches. And so because of that, you need to be dressed modest the entire pilgrimage, right? So that means no showing shoulders, no showing your midsection, and not wearing shorts. You're able to be in pants, you're able to be in a skirt, You could be in a longer skirt, not a mini skirt. You're able to be in capris, those type of things. And then we want to have a shirt that's, not showing the shoulders. And so we want to be respectful of that. It is not right now a policy that anywhere you go that your head has to be covered. And so for women, you don't want to, you don't have to be in a head covering. I would recommend packing a hat for both men and women. So just so if the sun's hot that day and kind of out, it's not just beating down on your face. And so your hat's able to protect you from some of that. And then your shoes really need to be shoes not for dress, but they need to be shoes that you're able to walk in. One of the things I try to stress to pilgrims is you do a lot of walking. You can estimate about 5 miles a day walking, 2 miles at any one kind of time. And so you need to be preparing yourself physically for that walking, and you need to be in shoes that accommodate for that walking. Wearing tennis shoes is perfectly acceptable. So I'll be wearing my tennis shoes. I wear the travel pants that are pretty lightweight, and then I'll wear like one of my long sleeve shirts. So, and I'll have a jacket to go with that as well. In addition, I'll bring a rain poncho, one of those little disposable dollar ones. So if it rains, I'm able to pull it out. If it doesn't rain, I don't. You could also bring an umbrella or something to that. Realize if it rains, we continue on our pilgrimage. We don't stop for that. On our pilgrimage, we will also have the opportunity to float in the Dead Sea. And so you'll want to be able to bring your swimsuit for that and to enjoy that time there in the Dead Sea area. You can also, bring a pair of sandals or flip-flops if you want that for in that region of the Dead Sea region. As you're packing for the trip, what I would encourage you to do is I would encourage you, you are allowed accommodation-wise without an extra fee to bring a checked bag on an international flight, as well as a carry-on bag and a personal item. So what I would recommend is on the way there, your large checked bag really not be full. Your carry-on suitcase is kind of the size that you would want all your clothes that you're going to be traveling with to be in. If you have a pair of socks that have a hole in it, you're about to get rid of it, I would recommend packing that so that way you're able to leave that in the Holy Land and you make room for more stuff. People, when they're over there, they find a lot of souvenirs that they do want. They find olive wood nativity sets or crosses or rosaries, and they want to bring it back. Well, you have to make room for that. So by having a check bag and a carry-on bag and your clothing and your items fitting in the carry-on bag, that allows your check bag to come back almost totally ready to be for souvenirs if you choose to use it. And if you don't use it, well, then you have just that bag that's empty, right? So I would recommend packing lighter than not. Recognize you're on a pilgrim. You can bring 2 to 3 pairs of pants and that will suffice for your entire trip. For the flight over there, it's when we make that international flight from the United States over to Tel Aviv that you want to be able to sleep on that flight. So bring something that helps you to sleep, whether that be a natural substance or a prescription or even something like Benadryl. I would also recommend on your flight bringing a neck pillow so you're able to have a little bit of comfort and not to have a real bad crick in your neck. I would also recommend having a small bag on the plane, a personal bag, where you would have some items such as a night mask, earplugs so you're not hearing all the noise. Also bring yourself a personal hygiene bag on the plane. So after a long international flight, because when we land, we start the pilgrimage. We don't go to our hotel and take a nice break. So have your toothpaste, toothbrush, have deodorant. You might want to have, some cleaning wipes, have a fresh pair of underwear to change into. Those things are useful on the flight as you prepare to land. I'd also recommend having a pair of travel socks that you could put on the flight while you're kind of traveling so you can take your shoes off and be comfortable on that flight. Once again, we do want to try to sleep on that international flight so that you can adjust to the time change when we land. Some other things that you want to consider about bringing to make sure is I would recommend getting a little journal that you're able to keep prayer requests for different people that are going to be traveling with you, and that way you can keep their intentions at those holy sites with you. You could also bring items such as your rosary, and those rosaries you could have where you touch them to the different holy sites to share with people back home when you return. So those are just some of the things that you're able to bring with you to have those items taking place. Also recognize if you're bringing a camera that you want to be able to charge the battery at nighttime. You will need a converter. So this is a converter adapter that you're able to get here in the States. You can get them online or at a store, and you're just able to plug it in to their outlet system, and then you're able to charge your electronics there. If your camera requires battery, I would encourage you bringing extra batteries, as it can be hard to try to find the exact same batteries for your camera, as well as finding other things for that nature. During our pilgrimage, we have opportunity also. We want to make the most of our time, and we want to spend the most time that we have in the spiritual sites. And so one of the things we make the intentional decision is at our hotel, we have breakfast and dinner, and that is all you can eat, kind of buffet style. But we choose on the lunches not to stop and do large lunch dining times. A group of pilgrims, if you stop for lunch, can take anywhere from 1 to 2 hours typically, but that means 1 to 2 hours that you're not able to be at the spiritual sites. And you're going on this pilgrimage to go to the spiritual sites. And so what we actually do is we kind of keep traveling throughout the day. And so what you want to do is you want to pack a substance snacks that would be able to last you from after breakfast until dinner time. And so maybe you choose to pack beef jerky for your lunch, or you choose to pack protein bars, you choose to pack peanut butter crackers. You're choosing these type of items that give you substance and that you're able to keep going. Dried fruit, nuts are very good for the protein. And so just think about some of those type of things that you pack in your bag. What I encourage people to do, because they don't realize just the amount of walking, how much more energy they're expending than their normal daily thing. So if you're only going to pack one power bar because that's all you think you need for each day, go ahead and pack two, double up, because you will be spending a lot more energy than what you are used to doing. Also, as we're traveling on the plane with you, not in your checked bag, you need to bring all your medications. Do not check medications just in case your baggage gets lost. You want to have your medications with you. You also want to pack things for just in case. So pack things just in case you get a headache. Pack things just in case your stomach gets upset. Pack things just in case you get a cold or a sinus while we're over there. So pack the things, you know yourself what you might typically get sick from. So pack things to help you in case you get sick, so that way you're able to continue the journey. Also pack hand sanitizer, so that way we're able to prevent the spread of germs while we're traveling together in close quarters. In your baggage, for both your check bag as well as your carry-on, you're going to have a tag on the outside, but you also want to inside put your information, so that way in case the tag on the outside gets ripped off, the tag on the inside will cover you for your information. So that's a lot of information as you kind of start planning and packing for your trip. For my pilgrims, I do send you more detailed information, as well as at our pilgrim meeting we go through it all, but I just want to give you a heads up, and so you can start packing for this trip. Looking forward to seeing you in the Holy Land. God is love. Let the kingdom know.